Live right now. Do you want to get straight into it or play an intro song? I ain't had no intro song
Nah,
in
yeah.
my.
We can get straight into the review.
Okay. Huh. Let's see. Because today we talking about. I think we talking about a topic that interests us both. You know what I'm saying? Like because I. How can you put it? I've been interested in serial killers for a long time too, just like you said.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
Even
like,
back to taking classes in high school, it was really criminal justice, but it got to a point where we talked a lot about serial killers and even doing projects on serial killers. So I've definitely been knowing about different killers, and I mean, the killer we're going to talk about today is the, one of the most known ones. So
yeah, I can't believe people. There's people out there who think this shit is fake. Like
mhm.
I can't believe there's people out there who don't know that this guy happened. Like I know it's easy to lose track of things if you don't, go back and view the history. But Jeffrey, like this, he for better or for worse, is a figure in popular culture.
Mhm.
Like not to say that he should be. Like I don't glorify him at all, but he is a figure in popular culture. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, that is the Milwaukee Cannibal.
Uh-huh.
But hold on a second. Let me turn the hospital stream on. You can start giving the intro or whatever if you want.
But yeah, just a little background. Jeffrey Dahmer was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed 17 murder and dismemberments of young men and boys. Well, I should much rather say men and boys. Uh, with the youngest of his victims being 14 years old. Uh, he practiced necrophilia and cannibalism, um, and he preserved the body parts of his victims. Uh, it was very gruesome what he did. So yeah, it Jeffrey Dahmer is probably one of the he's very what's the good word for it? He was very I don't want to use explicit. What he did was very horrific, I should say. So yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, and we're gonna get into Jeffrey Dahmer more throughout the course, and we're also gonna be talking about the Netflix documentary. Uh, well, it's kind of a TV show mostly that just came out about Jeffrey Dahmer. 17 victims. His crime spanned from 1978 to 1991.
Got the actual full setup back going, not like them half-ass setups I had going the last couple of weeks. Anyway,
Bro, they gave that nigga 16 life terms.
yeah, because they couldn't, they ain't had a death penalty up there where he was at, so they probably would have fried him if they did. They had the death penalty in Illinois where John Wayne Gacy was doing his dirt at, and
Yeah,
he
they
definitely
showed that in the joint.
he definitely felt the full brunt of it. Yes, sir, he did. He felt the full brunt of that lethal injection. But yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, the series itself. All right. Watched all 10 episodes, binged it over 2 days. And I noticed when I heard about the series, went ahead on and Googled it, right?
Mm.
Noticed that people didn't like it. The critics didn't like it. I got some problems with it as a show. I don't understand why critics didn't mess with it though. I don't understand why they didn't mess with it too heavy. I understand the no, J Last, Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, you watching it. I'll just say that he ain't alive anymore. But that's it. I'll say he ain't alive anymore. That's all I'll say. But I don't understand why critics didn't mess with the show too heavy. I got criticisms of the show as a show itself, but I think it's more they didn't mess with it because they just didn't like the fact that it seemed like he was being glorified. Like
I only have one bad thing that I would say about the Jeffrey Dahmer show.
what would you say?
It's re-traumatizing the families of the victims. When you have something as realistic as they were doing it, down to what the clothes they were wearing, real names. Which I mean, I do appreciate that they put those things in the show, but they're re-traumatizing these families, and they're bringing up very, very hard moments in these people's lives that they really had to go through. I mean, these were their brothers, sons, that were brutally murdered. So that's the only thing that I would say was, the only bad thing I got about the show. Other than that, I think it was great. Like, I mean, but this is something that's also up my alley. So I love things like, well, I would watch this if it wasn't Jeffrey Dahmer. If it was John Wayne Gacy, I would watch it. If it was in like a different serial killer, I would watch it. So that's my take on it. But I do think that this was a very good. I think this was a very good. What was it? The documentary?
It wasn't a documentary. It's a mini series. It's a
I call it a mini series.
I would say like docudrama. That's docudrama. That's what it would be. Because it is pretty accurate to the things that happen. I mean, we read a little article before we start, and the biggest inaccuracy is that Glenda Cleveland didn't live next door to him. They kind of combined a couple of his neighbors into a singular character. Glenda Cleveland lived in the building next door, but she did like the stuff that she did in the show, reporting him, calling the police on him, trying to keep them from returning the young Asian boy. I can't pronounce names like Conorak. I can pronounce the Conorak part, but I cannot pronounce his last name. It got like 13 letters in it. But that all really happened. Like, I had seen documentaries about this way before this show ever came out. Like, this already been knowledge that those things took place. But the thing about the show that I liked, especially the first episode, and to me the first episode was the best one. First episode was the best one. I got it going in the background right here. You can't see, but I'm gonna turn it back on, and I'm gonna go back to the episode number 1. The first episode was presented, and tell me if you agree or disagree. The first episode of the show was presented almost like a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seemed like you were seeing the actual real life version of what done inspired some of the horror movies that's come out. Right. But you seeing the actual thing happen. And like, we talking about it as a show. We're not talking about it to make light of the trauma that the person actually went through. Because in the first show, they actually showed the person who escaped and ended up getting this dude caught. Like, that's in the first episode. Like,
I like how they did that. I like
Tracy Edwards.
I like how they put the setup of the show. Like, they didn't have it with the first murder first. They kind of give you like what was the end and then let it go all the way through. I love when they do that.
Well, they did that in particular with this case because he confessed to it all. He never tried to he never tried to find himself not guilty. I mean, he never tried to be found not guilty. So it made nothing but the most sense for them to start with him getting caught. Because once he got caught, he told the police everything. The reason why they know so many details about his crimes in particular is because he confessed immediately. Like, and he insisted, as you see in the show, that he was in his right mind while doing it. Like, he insisted that he did it because, you know, he said it was a compulsion, but then he also says, but he wasn't crazy, he wasn't insane, none of that shit. But with the way they presented it, like, even though you know, like, if you followed the because I didn't know, like, I ain't know the name of the person yet, because if I'm not mistaken, they don't give his name while it's happening. Tracy Edwards. In the show, they didn't tell you his name when he was in the club and shit, and then Jeffrey Dahmer met him and brought him back to the hospital. I don't remember him ever stating his name. So, hold on a second. Like, we got another chat message. Let me see what we got. Nope, that's the wrong shit. Wrong. Where we at? Yeah, definitely he was gay. Like, he killed nothing but men. Everybody he killed was a man. Yeah. And he killed men that he met in gay bars. And most of them is men that he met in gay bars. Let me put it that way. Other ones he lured back to the house. And him being gay, I don't even think he was sexually turned on by men. He just happened to be gay. He was turned on by, like, body parts and organs and shit. Like he was turned on by, like, you see how crazy.
I actually saw he was turned on by body type. That's what it was. Like, if they had a certain type of body type, that's what made him, I mean, essentially want you.
But I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, like, sexually stimulated. I think he was sexually stimulated by, like, organs and split open guts, and, like, 'cause they show how he was just so interested in dissecting stuff. Like, he literally experimented on
to take the pig home.
But he experimented on the victims. But we getting ahead, like, with the first episode, how I say it's, like, presented like a horror movie, because they didn't say, to my recollection, that was Tracy Edwards. If they say that's Tracy Edwards and you familiar with the story, you know he the person that got away. But they presented it like you suspenseful to see, like, what's gonna happen. They put you down. They plopped you down in the middle of one of his murder plots. And you suspenseful to see, like, how is this going to turn out. I was the whole time, like, being familiar with his story, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm wondering, like, is this the one who got away, or is we about to see him commit his first one of his murders in the apartment? Is this the one he put in acid? Is this the one who he drilled a hole in his head? Is this one of those? It's like all that shit right there running through my mind while I'm watching the first episode. And I think they did a good job presenting it that way, because even though this story has been told and you can find the documentaries all up and down the internet about it, they still found a way to make shit suspenseful. Like, because it is, like, for better or for worse, this is not a documentary. It's a mini series, so it's not just for information's sake. This show is also for entertainment's sake. You know what I'm saying? Like, this, if you watch the documentaries and shit, if you want to see just the raw information, but, like, this show was set up, and this show was set up to be entertaining, if you can call it that. But yeah, that's what I like. The atmosphere of the show is something I think they did a good job with it. They made Jeffrey Dahmer look disgusting. Every time I saw a documentary about him, he looked disgusting. Like, I always wonder, like, why the fuck would anybody go home with this dude? That's what when I saw him, like, that's my first thing. Why, like, anybody, man, woman, or whatever in between, why would they go home with him? Like, when you see him, I just see a disgusting human being, like a creepy ass. And even when you see him talking in interviews, he a creepy ass looking, dumbass looking nigga. Like, it ain't somebody I would want to even have a conversation with. Like, hold on a second, let's go to the chat real quick.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really see. I mean, they probably went home with him because, for one, he was offering them money. And I mean, for two, you got to think about where he was asking these people, do you want to go? I just want to take some pictures of you. I mean, some of them probably thought he was attractive. You never really know. So,
right.
I mean, that's probably why I'm thinking they would go home with him. But they did. I see what you mean, but no.
And yeah, the pork chop thing had you. Yeah, he did really tell people that. He did really make excuses that it was bad meat and bad pork chops, and his fish tank was all fucked up. All that shit that you see, those excuses he made, that's really what he was telling people. Like, why his apartment stunk.
Quick. Okay, so are you getting the chat from the Twitch, or you getting the chat from the? All right.
Twitch chat.
All right. I see. They're coming through now. They coming in kind of slow though.
Ain't nothing in the YouTube chat yet.
Okay, but nah, I did also see. I do like how they portrayed him though. They portrayed him how I really think he would be. That very I did get some bad meat, like. I wouldn't think he would be like some upbeat person.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Which is more the reason why I'm like, why would you want to be involved with this fucking person? Like,
and he was even doing that shit to people in the army.
He seemed like a flat out weirdo from the damn beginning, bro. Like, in my opinion. Like, he didn't seem like somebody to be, and I guess oh yeah, bro, his house smelled like corpses, bro. He was keeping. Oh shit, I done fucked up the layout. He was keeping dead bodies in there, bro. Like, he had damn.
Yeah, he had like a tank. He had like a fucking what is it? Like one of them big ass barrels. He had a barrel full of acid and flesh that was just melting in the shit. So yeah, I know his house smelled insane.
He boiled some of the people, bro. He cooked some of, and that's how you know he wasn't stupid too. That's how you know he wasn't stupid, because he was able to keep a whole container of a vat of acid, for lack of a better term, and he got the exact right material to keep because the acid can't eat through them plastic buckets. That's why it's kept in there. And he was dissolving bodies. It was like parts of the body. So it wasn't only that he dissolved bodies in acid, he dissolved bodies in acid after dismembering them. So it was like torsos and shit only in that. But the accuracy of the show is another thing I like about it. Like, I like that they didn't really add no bullshit. Like, one of the and don't get me wrong, this Dahmer show isn't nowhere near as good as the show I'm about to mention. But it's almost the same way they kept up the accuracy with that show on HBO, Chernobyl. And like, the Dahmer show might have copied it, because Chernobyl did something similar So you know how it said that they combined a couple different people into Glenda Cleveland's character in the show. That's what Chernobyl did. They combined a whole team of scientists that was trying to, you know, that was trying to help go against the stupidity that the scientists and journalists and shit. They combined them all into one character in the Chernobyl show. So instead of having like 30 different people running around, they had just one woman portraying all the actions they tried to take against the dumb shit that those people who was running that power plant over there was doing. But yeah, excuse me. Back to what they was talking about. The accuracy of the show is something I like, cause I like I said, being familiar with this story, I was waiting for them to put some dumb shit in there. I was waiting for them, and like it pretty much the shit that he was doing in the show was pretty much what it was. But I got two big problems with the show that I just can't get with, bro. Like
what?
My number one problem, my more minor problem, is that they focus too much on that Glenda Cleveland character. I know it's Niecy Nash. I know Niecy Nash is probably the biggest star in the show, and they had to give her a lot of screen time. Okay, like her, she was just a neighbor at the end of the day. Her daughter didn't get murdered by Jeffrey Dahmer, so like, why was they focusing on how she felt? They kind of tried to throw some of that Black Lives Matter shit into it. But I would give it this. It was I agree totally that he was able to get away with the shit he was doing so much because most of the people he killed was black or either some other type of minority race. Right. Like he was able to get away with that shit because of that. So I ain't gonna fault the show for throwing up the real racial climate of the time into it. It was just they focused on her too much. And my biggest thing, and I know, like, I don't like the fact that he was portrayed that they tried to humanize this nigga, man. Fuck him. He should have been portrayed as the worst of the worst for the whole run of the show, because that's what he was. To me, for somebody to, if you fuck around and make a mistake or you commit a murder or whatever in your lifetime and you realize that you made a mistake, you fucked up, you accept the consequences for what you did, and you try to spend the rest of your life making up for it. I can understand you being portrayed with some type of human qualities. But portraying Jeffrey Dahmer, a motherfucker who murdered somebody not 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but 17 times, cut them up, ate some of them, experimented on them by drilling holes in their head, pouring boiling water in the holes that he drilled, pouring acid. He wanted to make a zombie and all that type of shit. Man, don't tell me about his fucking childhood. There's plenty of people that have rough childhoods that don't grow up to kill one person, let alone 17. Don't portray him like, oh, because his mama was a piece of shit and his dad was a fucking what? I don't even know what to call him. Kind of an absentee parent that won't really paying attention to this nigga. Like, you gonna try to humanize him? Shit. Go and humanize some of these gang members who grew up in the same situation. Like, even when he grew up hard, he grew up a little bit hard. He still had opportunities handed to him. His dad paid out of pocket for him to go to Ohio State, my nigga. Like,
the only reason I really I say that I didn't like that part about the show is because it was the actual story. It's not like that was some made up shit to make him seem like a little bit better. That was just how the story really went down. I mean, the nigga really did have parents that want shit. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's justification for what he did or no shit like that, but I mean, he really did have, not shit parents. So.
Agreed. And I won't. I ain't saying they shouldn't have put it in the show at all. I'm saying they shouldn't have focused on the shit and tried to make it seem like this is somebody we should care about his problems because
Oh
he
nah, I didn't really get that out of that show. I didn't get the like I mean I definitely saw where they were like talking about his family and shit and how his parents was, but I didn't really get where they was kind of like really honing in on like, oh yeah, this nigga is he needed help, some shit like that.
yeah I picked that up on a couple. I picked up a couple hints of that. Oh, only if he would have got the help he needed type of vibe. Only if he would have got. Only if his parents would have paid more attention to him. Only if that they even tried to throw it off on the dad. If you go remember the episode where the dad tried to take all the blame that Jeffrey Dahmer was the way Jeffrey Dahmer was.
Now I did see that, but I don't think that's like I don't want to say like I don't think that's real, but like I
No,
don't really
that's his.
how. No, I ain't saying like I don't think that's really what happened. I really think he was just a sick individual.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but his dad was really in his corner like that. He was. You can pull up full fledged, real deal interviews of him sitting up there with that sick ass nigga, defending them and shit. Not defending them, but like trying to help give his side of the story. Bro, your only side of the story is that you killed 17 people that you ain't have to kill. Like, that's your only side of the story. You killed 17 people for your pure pleasure, my nigga. That's the only thing. That's all there is for you. Like, that's all. That's the only thing I think about you. You killed 17 people for your pure pleasure, and then when you got your block knocked off, you deserved it. That's the only thing I think about Jeffrey Dahmer. Right? I think all of them deserve it. Like,
I definitely think that shit was sick what he did though, but I mean, he definitely did that shit.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's to be expected that your parents, even if you did some crazy shit like that, your parents would be in your corner.
Bro.
I mean, especially in that type of situation. I mean, I know if he was any other color, he probably wouldn't have his people in his corner like that. But
Bro, I'm saying like, if that's my child, I'm disowning that nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not, bro. If you kill 17 people and you my child, I'm not gonna sit up in court and say nothing on your fucking behalf, bro. I'm gonna be ashamed of myself in front of those people, families that you did. I might not even show up to court. Like, I'm gonna be wondering, like, what the fuck did I miss that I had a nigga that turned out like this? I do think the dad was...
Pretty sure that's what his dad was thinking. What the fuck did I miss to have my son turn out like this?
But his dad was thinking about how to get his ass off first. And then he started thinking that. But like when it come down to the acting itself, I think the dad was the best character in the show. Like, I think that the dad put on the best performance. Like, I think Niecy Nash's performance was kind of mid, to tell you the truth.
I honestly felt like all of the acting was good.
I don't think
I enjoyed all of it for real.
I wouldn't say any of it was bad, but I'm talking about like the dad just stood out above and beyond to me with the way that he put on the character of Lionel. Like, because when you watch the documentaries, right?
And then the dad was talking shit to that nigga when he got kicked out of school, like, bro.
That's what I was about to say. Like, when you see the documentaries, you don't really see that side of the dad. Like, when you see the documentary, his dad seemed like a pushover, in my opinion. It seemed like when I saw the documentaries about Jeff Dahmer and they mostly focus on him, I'd be like, no wonder he was a serial killer. Like his pops and them ain't have no control over him. Like he seemed like a pushover, but he don't seem like a pushover in his damn show. Maybe that's how he really was. He seemed like he just won't paying this clown no attention.
Mm-hmm.
But he don't seem like he a pushover. Like he seemed the opposite of a pushover. like he seemed like he did something that is all too common sometimes when parents break up with each other. Is that when sometimes when a parent break up with the other parent, one of the parents, not usually, but one of the parents break up with the damn kids too. I ain't gonna say usually, because a lot of parents who take care of their kids even though they don't like each other. But sometimes the parents break up with each other and the parents break up with the kids. They be like, all right, I'm done with you and that little nigga over there. Like that, and that's what it seemed like Lionel did. Like, I mean, that ain't what it seemed like he did. That's what it's portrayed that he did do. Like when he fucked off to get married and whatever, he showed back up, ain't even know Jeffrey Dahmer was in the house by himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of what it, for better or worse, seemed like to me was the biggest flaw when it came down to the pops. He's an idiot. I mean, he's a moron. That's what it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. Like, they just don't. I just didn't like him being portrayed as anything short of the piece of shit that he was. I have no sympathy for him. I don't care what went on in his life that made him turn out like he is, because whatever you going through, and this might sound harsh, bro, you ain't the only person that's going through it. Like, how many people get abused as children and they turn out to not only be normal people, but a lot of them turn out to make sure what happened to them never happens to other children. So then when they turn out to be, when I hear people say they became abusers because they were abused, while that probably holds some truth to it, you can also try to reverse the course and break the cycle. Like everything, a person that's in their right mind, I'll say everything that you do and turn out to be is your choice at the end of the day. It was his choice to kill all them people. It wasn't his upbringing's choice.
I just feel like I can't really feel sorry for anything that happened to somebody who killed 17 people.
Yep.
That's just how I feel about it. I can't feel sorry for Jeffrey Dahmer.
Let me ask you an off topic question. You can just give a short answer.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on everything that came through in that indictment, do you feel sorry for Young Thug? Because he was apparently orchestrating quite a few murders himself, allegedly.
I don't really feel sorry for any of them. Like, now, don't get me wrong. I do want to hear the music. It's still free Young Thug, but do I feel sorry for him? I mean, nigga, you knew what you was doing. I mean, it's the oldest saying in the book, nigga. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Right.
Right. So
that was just a
allegedly, but
I was just curious of your outlook of it. Cause I don't feel sorry for none of them. Like, I feel sorry for people who, like, I feel most sorry for like Gunna, cause apparently like he ain't do
nothing.
He did. He ain't do none of the killings. You know that when they re-indicted him, they dropped him from all the violent charges.
Mm-hmm.
And he might get out.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Feel sorry for them niggas. Them niggas wouldn't feel sorry for me.
Right. But back to Dahmer, man. Back to Dahmer. Let me ask you a question. Out of all the serial killers that you done researched up on, that you know about, do you think that Jeffrey Dahmer is the worst one?
No, by no means. He Jeffrey Dahmer. Now don't get me wrong. He's not fucking a saint.